Right, the live button has clicked in. Hello, I'm Susan Weeks. You might know me from my Stitch Your Stories podcast or my various other places around the internet, particularly where I help people with creating an online course. Quarter 4, 2022. To be quite honest, I've seen, hello, I think that's Alison, Garden Stitcher. Over the last couple of months, I've seen a lot of posts from a lot of my crafty, arty maker friends, and do you know, it really makes me feel quite sad. So I thought I had a few ideas that I would come and share with you about how possibly just a different perspective on how things could possibly be changed. And just realised I've got my look, my star. I put that up over Christmas. And I keep it up there now because I thought, you know, a gloomy January day just cheers me up. Anyway, right, I've got a few more people to wave at and say hello. Right, so looking at the, I did them on a post, some of the things that I've seen people post about over the last kind of few weeks, people who've made themselves ill. So these are all arty, crafty makers, right? People who've made themselves ill, standing around in the freezing cold doing craft fairs. Exhausted after endless making for Christmas sales, stressed after all the Christmas delivery hassles and stuff getting lost and all that, you know, last minute stuff, craft fairs cancelled, craft fairs poorly attended, being ill so they couldn't go to craft fairs or some of the other things, other activities cancelled because of their ill health, the attendees' ill health, lots of cramming in lots of in-person classes, again, which can be affected by kind of cancellations for things. Crappy weather, God, increasing costs, venue hire, studio heating, all those things, transport hassles. Good God, what an absolutely appalling list. So I've sat down and thought, what is it that we can do to even just think about and move forward from those things? So I've got a few thoughts and ideas. And I've got a few notes written down, but other than that, you know, it's kind of almost off the top of my head here. So I think the first point of view being that without change, nothing changes. So the situation that you finished up with in the last quarter of 2022 was basically what you'd planned. And how's Brina there? Is what you planned. And so I think you need to review, first of all, what was worth it out of all of those things, given the amount of hassle and pain that people have gone through, what was actually worth it. So out of all those activities and selling and attending fairs and all the rest of it, which of those activities actually made you a profit? Do you know what your numbers are? Have you actually totted up all of the costs that it cost you to make all of those things? And let's be blunt here, have you included your time? Have you included your time? Have you included your time in the making? Have you included your time in the setting up, travelling, getting there, paying the venue costs, any other costs that you needed to cover, plus, of course, the cost of making the things that you sold, costs of payment transactions, yeah, all of those things. So have you done your numbers from those activities and what profit did you make? And given the amount of time that you spent doing to make that profit, was it worth it? Now, I know some makers, hi Catherine, some makers kind of make all the stuff and, you know that the Christmas period is going to be massive for their sales and really rely on that. So that in itself can be a bit of a challenge too. But what were the profits at the end of the day? If you don't know, then that's the first point. Go off and find out. I know it's boring, but otherwise you're not running a business, you're just running a hobby, okay? And if you're running a hobby, then you don't want all this hassle. Karen. So get your numbers sorted out. Make sure that even when you're using materials, you may think, oh well, that's in my stash. That stash was bought by you at some point, or you've gone and picked it up when someone's donated it for you, and you have to use it use it, then it needs replacing at some point. So none of this is free, okay? So really be very clear on what your costs are and your profits are from all of the activities that you were doing before Christmas, first of all. And I always love to come back to the 80-20, you know, is it Pareto, the 80-20 rule of quite often when you sit and look, you could find that 80% of your profit came from 20% of your activities. Or flip it round, did 80% of your time generate 20% of your profit? It always seems to work out really well. The guy who noticed that rule, absolute genius. So think about that as well. And ultimately, out of those things that you were doing, what brought you joy? Do you want to keep on doing, say, the craft fairs, or do you want to keep on doing all of the online, all of the in-person classes, or what is it that you really want to do? Because ultimately, without change, nothing changes, and we'll just carry on doing the same old thing. And you know, now is the time to reflect upon that very busy period and say, do you know what? I bloody out doing that again. It was a nightmare. What can I do instead? Right? Now is the time before you get sucked into, you know, you're back in there in September, it'll be with us before we know it, and you go, oh, I've got to get all this Christmas stuff, and I'm doing these fairs and I'm doing this. And you've kind of forgotten all of the hassle and lack of profit possibly than what you've just experienced and how it's making you feel. You know, if you're utterly exhausted and feeling ill and making yourself ill from standing around in the cold hoping somebody will buy your stuff, then really, is there a better way? Quite possibly. So things those are just a starting point there, knowing your numbers, and then aiming more for a better balance and to generate more leverage in your business, so everything doesn't boil down to you being physically present. Okay, so yes, having several streams of income in our business, when we're a sole trader, an entrepreneur, a freelancer, whatever we want to call ourselves, having several streams of income is a good thing. However, too many then start to become overwhelming, and you know, there's bound to be one of those many things that you're doing that turns out to be not worth it for many reasons. So, hello, a few more people joining us here. I will be posting the recording of this. I always post them back on my profile. So, just been recapping for the people who've just joined about knowing your numbers and thinking about all of those activities that you were doing before Christmas to earn money, and working out which ones were worth it from the point of view of did they make a profit, and including your time. People are terrible for not costing in their time, all right? So what we're then going to look for is more balance and to generate more leverage within our business so that it's more joyful. A lot of the people I speak to, me included, with a lot similar path, a lot of us have escaped a corporate life at some point and decided to work in, and follow our joy and make our craft hobby into our career now, our business. But so we need to generate and look at the leverage that we're trying to get in here. So several streams of income, yes, that's often a good thing. It can be overwhelming if everything's revolving around you. So what you're doing is then starting to spread yourself too thin. And again, some of those activities you may just think, actually, they're not actually earning me any money here, so there's no point in doing some of these things. Free up your time to do something that's going to actually earn you some money and move forward. Without change, nothing changes. And I think we're at that point now where you possibly need to think about how you can change what it is that you've developed so far and change it so that it actually serves you better, and leverage. So leverage is all about making things in your business work harder for you without you necessarily working harder. You're already working probably too hard and putting too much time into what you're already doing, right? If you were employed at the conditions that you are putting yourself under, you'd have gone on strike a long time ago and resigned, okay? So things like, for example, if you're making products and posting them out, then obviously before Christmas in the UK here we have an absolute nightmare with the post, and it will probably ramble on even more. So think about timing. You know, are you letting people order too close to Christmas, for example? Do yourselves all a favour, bring that deadline earlier, be very vocal about it. Your delivery supplier, some of the ones over here in the UK are absolute crap. If I was posting things out, I would not touch them with a barge pole. They're not serving you as a business, and it's creating a load of hassle for you that you've got to deal with. And it's okay for them to go, oh well, you know, if it's got lost, never mind, we'll kind of reimburse you and send another one out. If you've made a handmade item, custom made item, you can't get another one. You've got to make one. That's going to take time, and you've probably run out of time at that point of view. So, you know, having a more robust delivery supplier, it will cost you more, and it'll cost the end user more, but they're more likely to get their parcel, right? And again, if you write about these things in your blog and make it very clear, this is how I do business, then people can choose whether they're going to skimp on postage and suffer the consequences, or whether it's going to be a professional job. Okay, so that's just something to think on there. Be very clear on in terms of your legal terms and conditions. Are you clear on what the rules and regulations are with regards to refunds? Do you have to? You know, what are the time periods? What are the rules? Be very aware of that, and also make sure that your terms and conditions and timescales are very clear for people, so everybody understands. So you can get rid of a lot of the hassle by just thinking about, hang on, is this really clear? And what are my processes going to be for handling these situations? And then you're not using mental energy thinking, oh God, how can I deal with this? Oh, sit and think about it now. Get it documented, get some procedures down, okay? So that was just a thought I had there. So some of the activities that you're going to keep, right, then we want to generate leverage. So which are the ones that made the most profit, gave you the most joy? Okay. Now, I buy things at craft fairs, I attend workshops occasionally, things like the Knitting and Stitching Show, for example. I'll go and do workshops there. And so one thing I see here is that people, you know, artists, crafters, makers are not capturing their customers. Yeah, so we'll sell you something, a cute little felted mouse or something. 6 months' time, I have got no idea where it came from. If somebody says, oh, Sue, will you get me one of those? It's lovely. Oh, I don't know where I got it from. I have no idea who the person was. I bought it in some sale in a village hall. So even basic things like making sure that you have a way, an interesting way for people who've bought something for you to get into your world. Maybe it's something like plants where you can provide aftercare and say, look, you know, click on this QR code and off you go and find out, you know, there'll be a video there for some information. Gets people in your world, get them to your website. Some kind of freebie, or even if it's like, well, you've bought this nice cute little mouse, then, you know, felted mouse. If you want to buy another one, you know, get a discount, do it through my website, getting people back into your world, capturing the details. Things like that, so freebies, discounts, next steps. You've learnt this thing, the next step is this particular workshop. You know, get ways capture people's details, get them into your world. As I say, leaflets with even a quick QR code is easy for people to scan and take them to the right page. They're not having to type things in on their phone, etc., are they? Yeah. So how can you provide some way to get people into your digital world so that you're making the most of the opportunities that you've already made for yourself? Yeah, you're getting more value out of the thing that you've sold or the class. I used to organise classes for my Embroiderers Guild branch, and I think there's only one person out of the people that I organised who've ever actually followed up with us as class attendees, or even said, hey, can I leave a leaflet? This is how you get in touch. These are the things I do. Very, very rare that happens. That's a massive opportunity just gone away, because then if I think, oh, actually, yeah, I'd quite like to, do something else, then I've got to kind of go and find that person, and I'm a rummage, and, you know, some people are very difficult to find. Another thing, visibility. Yeah. make it easy to be found, particularly if you are relying on selling your things in other people's shops or craft fairs in village and church halls, etc. You also need to be marketing that you're going to be there and making it more visible to be found, so that people think, oh, do you know, I bought that really nice mouse last week. Oh, I wonder if I can get another one. Then you're trying to rummage around, trying to find where you found, you know, trying to buy another one of those things, right? So that was just something else to think about. They also, you know, some of the big events like the Knit and Stitching Show, the Festival of Stitch, Festival of Quilts, run workshops, don't they, with in-person tutors, right? And you can book on all of those. Oh, some more people to wave at here. Hello. I'll be reposting the recording of this on various places. So, yes, I'm just talking here about when you go to some of the big shows like Knit and Stitching Show, for example, then there's workshops on there. There's a page usually with all the workshop leaders on there. So as an experiment in November, I went through the ones who were doing workshops in the Stitching Show in Harrogate, and I went through all of those bios. And there's quite a lot of people. It's a very high trafficked website, and at least a third of those artists and makers did not include their website link or any kind of social media link to make it easy for me to find out more about them. I was shocked. Okay, so if you are providing classes at somebody else's venue, put your website details, your social media, so that people can at least find out more about you. For a third of those artists to have not made use of that free traffic, thousands of people visiting that website, I was shocked. And I've seen it on lots of other things as well. So as a subject for another post, I was so shocked at that. That's, wow. So there's things that you can do to make yourself just leverage what you're already doing. But then there's the other aspect is, the other aspect of creating leverage in your business, your creative business, is what else can you do online, okay? And at that point, people go, oh, I'm rubbish at doing online. The small things that you can take and small things that you can learn and do it step by step, all right? So even, you know, people say, oh, create an online course, which is my main focus. If you haven't created any videos of anything before or taught anything, then just deciding you're going to create this massive course, it's never going to happen. It's never going to happen. What you need to do is start dipping your toe in the digital water. So I've got a few little ideas on here about how you could do that. Take them step by step. So things like digital downloads take relatively little effort to create. You can put them on things like Etsy. There's lots of platforms where you can put those on to get started, to see how these things work, to do some marketing. You know, you can't just put them on these platforms and then expect, you know, they'll magically sell. You do have to do some marketing. You know, you're in business, you need to know your numbers, and you need to do some marketing. Sorry, I know you want to go sit in your corner and do your crafting. That's what hobbies are for. So you could introduce things like digital downloads, relatively straightforward, patterns, worksheets, checklists, that kind of thing. Or it may be that some of your stitching, if you kind of zoom in on it, makes a really great patterns for things like homewares and, you know, there's scarves, those kind of things. I'm sure you've thought about this before, just a reminder. Other kind of merch, right? Now, if you do kits, then why not start adding videos, instructions into those kits, right? Start adding that. It brings the kit alive a bit more. Once you've been doing some of those videos, so you can say, right, I sell kits and part of it is this video instructions, but then you could also lump those videos together to create a course. And so then you're selling a course with a kit. So you can sell a kit with video instructions and a course with a kit. It's the same thing, selling it twice in different ways, marketing it differently, right? Paid talks and webinars. Now these seem a lot more popular now. So we've got into this habit, haven't we, that everything needs to be free. You know, if we're going to do a webinar and a chat, it's going to be free. Doesn't have to be. And for some of these things, remember, you would have gone off to a hall somewhere and spoke to a guild, and you would have been paid for that. So I think it's still okay. It's okay to be paid to do webinar, Zoom talks and things. Everyone got over that hurdle, didn't they, as part of the pandemic, right? So don't forget about all of that. Add those in. You may have some interesting stories to share, an interesting point of view on different things. Paid webinars, paid talks. Now, a lot of people decided, all right, I'm going to start doing Zooms. I'm going to start doing Zoom workshops. To be blunt, doing a Zoom workshop of a practical topic is probably one of the most difficult things that you can do. You are running a class, so you're thinking about what it is that you're teaching. You've got to get the technology all okay. You're reliant on a good internet connection. Lots of people don't have a good internet connection, so it really ruins the whole effect. And then it's like, oh well, then I'll give you all the recording afterwards. But from the learner's point of view, having a 2 or 3 hour recording, or even if it's split up into hour-long chunks, it's really difficult to go back and review. You think, oh, I've got to find an hour now to go. Oh, where was that? Oh, about minute 45. It's not a good learning experience. So doing a Zooms for demonstrating practical workshops, unless you've done a lot of practicing in this, is one of the most difficult things. It's far less stressful to video it, get them edited, learn how to do video editing. It's actually quite straightforward. I can teach people how to do that even. And, just start to look at things that you can do, skills that you can learn, and little step by step dip your toe into the digital water. And in some respects, what would you rather do? Stand outside in December for hours on end, freezing to death, trying to sell something, or learn a new skill that you can then sell online all year round? Just putting those thoughts out there, okay? Now, a lot of people, again, are scared of the tech. I have actually done a lot of videos where I help out with the answering those kind of questions. What is it that you're actually frightened of? The big one is also time, is blocking out the time. This is important. Think about the sheer, what you're feeling like right now about what the last quarter was like. Think about the hassle and pain that you've endured. It's time for a change. Okay, and there are so many options out there for us now. So that was just a few things that kind of popped into my head. So hopefully, some of these ideas may have, oh yes, I haven't thought about doing that. So kind of in a quick summary, the first thing is, if you've been doing all these different activities, know your numbers, go and do your accounts, account for your time, plus your materials. None of this is free, okay? And work out what was actually profitable. Did it bring you joy as well as money? If it brought you neither, time for a change for sure. Your health and your happiness are very, very important, all right? So look at your numbers. Do, one of those SWOT analysis, strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, threats, for each of the things that you are currently doing in your creative business. What are the strengths for it? What are the weak parts? And it's usually that it revolves around you. If you go down, everything goes down. What opportunities are there that you can look and learn new skills for and move into? And what are the threats? And again, the threats of the last couple of years have been health issues and the problems, and they haven't gone away, have they? Let's all be blunt. So what are the threats? So strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, threats. What is going to bring you more leverage and more balance in your business, and back to this idea of joy. Leverage, so how are you going to then change? Really look at where your time goes, and time blocking is going to help you address some of these issues. And then one of the ways to get much more leverage in your business, so it doesn't revolve around you being physically there, is to dip your toe in the digital waters. And I gave just a few simple ideas there, but certainly go back and make the most of what, if you still want to do all of those things. Are you missing opportunities with follow-up, with even your bio and not having links in there? That some of the things are very basic. Your visibility. Can people find you again? With all of these, then I've got many, many years of experience in supporting creative business owners, freelancers, being a business mentor and a technical trainer, created tons of different courses. Teaching people techie stuff is my absolute point of genius, shall we call it that way. I'm really able to explain those things in an easy and fun way. But I think the first step really is, perhaps you would like to book let's call it a brain picking session, okay, where we can just dive in and say, look, these are the things that you're doing. Or you might say, look, really, Sue, what I fancy doing is this. I don't know where to start. Have you got any ideas for me of how I can start? What would be a good platform to do that on, etc., etc. So tap into those years of experience and the fact that this just makes me feel so sad that there are so many creative business owners at the moment just like, really, questioning where are you going, what you're doing. So if you want to book a brain picking session with me, then if you pop onto my website, then it says there's an option on the top there, book me. That's probably the easiest way. So that's virtualityworks.com. But you can find those links. This is on Instagram, so if you click on my link in bio, you'll be able to get through to that. You can also find lots of information around these kind of issues on my other Instagram account, which is at susan.l.weeks. But yeah, the website, and this will probably finish up on YouTube as well. So my link will be in the description. So around, depending on where you find this, you will find you'll be able to get in touch with me. But I am pretty much everywhere. So also, if you know the stitchesstories.com website, you can get through to me there as well. So I hope this has sparked off some ideas for you. So it was just an inspiration from yesterday. So there's no great follow-up. So the main thing is, if you want to explore some ideas, then just come along and book a brain picking session. That's probably the next step for you. Okay, but whatever it is that you do, you're far better off doing it in small little steps than just trying to look at this overwhelming kind of mess, right? Because that it just doesn't serve anybody, and we don't move forward either at that point. So I am wishing you, so I've now got a half cold, not too bad, herbal tea, it doesn't matter if it goes cold, does it? So I'm wishing you all the best for 2023, and any questions or comments, just ask here, send me a DM, or come along and book a brain picking session, and let's get you moving forward in a way that's going to bring balance and leverage and joy into your creative business. Okie dokie. Right, I shall go. I think my battery's running down anyway, so I shall leave you all to it, and I'll catch you later. Bye for now.